In today's video, we're growing Indo. That's right, we're talking smart gardens. Now you're probably asking yourself, what is a smart garden? A smart garden is a place that you can grow your plants into pods with lighting and water supplies. Now that's out of the way, let me show you which one we're looking at today. This is the Click and Grow 9. What's so cool about this Click and Grow is that you have 9 plants that you can plant in this system. So each pod is essentially a section that can be filled with the plant that you want. On their website they have a bunch of plants that you can choose from flowers to actual edible plants to actual fruits and veggies. What's really cool with this is it has a built-in lighting system and it has a built-in water tank. So you don't have to water it and you don't have to light it. You actually just set it somewhere. It doesn't need to be next to a window and the plants will grow themselves. So as you can see, these are the pods themselves. They're small pods that have a filter right here that absorbs the water that's inside of this tank. As you can see here, you have your light source. Now, there's a whole bunch of lights here. They alternate between 2 types of lighting, and what it does is it grows your plants with that light source. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Boom! All right, you have white and red lighting, alternate, and once you place it right here on top of your plant, it's essentially going to give that plant a light source, and all that light is going to be absorbed into the plant. Alright, now let me show you the accessories that come with this to make your plant the best it could be, living its best life. So these are some accessories that come into the box with it. This is a little dome that essentially traps in all that humidity, and it would help the plant sprout quicker. Then once that's done and you want the plant to grow taller, you would have this little thing that has a hole cut out, and essentially the base of the plant would grow out of this and go to this maximum height. Now this is quite low, it's just to get the base started. Once your plants are growing higher, what you can do is you can put this extender piece right here and it will allow you to grow your plants much taller. My plants were actually above the top portion with the lights, so my plants actually grew very tall, and it works quite well. Now once your plants are grown, you have 2 options. You could either leave them in here and allow them to die because the roots can no longer grow, or what you can do is take the pods out and place them into a separate pot with soil and let them grow separately to have more space to grow, because obviously the roots are limited to whatever the pod size is. Or if you're lazy like me, you just buy new plants and let them grow once more. You actually have an app that allows you to track the status of your plants, so it allows you to basically make notes and or see when they're supposed to sprout based on that plant itself. I think one of my plants lasted me about 2 months. Other accessories in the box are these adapters for different countries. So if you're like me and love your plants so much that you bring them on your carry-on, well, this is a great option. Now here's a few tips and tricks that I've learned throughout my first growth of plants. First things first, I always have the plug set on a smart plug, and the reason for that is if you just plug it in right now, let's say it's 10 a.m., it will cycle 16 hours based on when you started the plug-in. So from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m., it's gonna be on. Now, if this is something that you don't want because it's in a space that you might see it at night and you don't want your light to be on at 2 a.m., what you can do is, like me, set a timer on your smart plug and have it turn on at like 6 a.m. so that it would cycle for only 16 hours based on that time. So it would go to sleep before you would go to sleep, let's say around 10. And it would sleep for 8 hours. One issue that I found myself in with tomatoes is the plant itself wouldn't grow straight. It would start sagging or falling. So I got this little shish kebab stick for barbecue, and I just planted that right into the pot itself, and I tied my rope around it, kind of like you would do in a regular garden, but in this case it's in a small scale. So if you don't need 9 plants, which by the way, you'll want 9 plants because this is great, but let's say you don't want to dish out the extra few bucks or you don't have the space for this, let me show you your next best guess. That's right, it comes in an itsy bitsy mini tiny version. It's a 3-plant system. Now, this is going to be very different than the 9-plant system, not only because you have a third of the space, but also because of the way it's laid out. So you have a symmetrical 3-plant system, and the light itself is going to be very different. And I'll show you. Instead of having that domed glass on the light like you have over here, you're just going to have these flat LED lights that are going to be the same color. So I'm assuming it's because these are closer to the plant, and once they grow with the extender, you can actually get them to a nice height, but this is your max. As opposed to the 9-plant system that goes almost up to here, you have something that is much shorter here. So obviously the same plants can be grown, the difference is they won't grow as tall. Now, the pods are the same size, so in theory the roots should be the same size as well, but I would definitely strongly recommend taking these out of the plant pods and putting them in separate pods to make sure that they grow to their full potential. Now you're probably asking yourself, how do I not have to water or light them? Well, lighting is taken care of, but the watering portion. This tank here is all empty, and essentially the water will accumulate in there by you filling it up through this spot here. So this is basically just a little floater that sits on top of the water, and once the water is full, this will rise up like this. It will rise up to being flush with the system, and when you're missing water, it'll go back inside, right? I had to water the 9-1 maybe once a week, maybe every 2 weeks or so. This one, you might have to water it a bit more frequently because the tank is smaller. Now, as you can notice, the pods themselves have this little white portion here. That's meant so you could write on it and actually know which plants are which before they sprout. I don't like that system. I don't want to write on it. I don't think it looks elegant, chic, and nice. So what I did was I picked up some of these. They're basically little stickers with colors on them, and I color coded my plants. So the green ones is basil, the blue one was lettuce and this and that, and you can color code your own system. I actually picked up a few of the plants so we can do a setup and see how to install them. These are the options I got. So I got basil, peppermint, rosemary, and parsley. So I have 4 packs of 3 plants. That means 12 plants total, and this only carries 9. So what I'm gonna do is not use them all, but I'm gonna do 3 basil, 3 parsley, 2 peppermints, and 1 rosemary. So I have more options. So this is what the pods look like. Basically just a hunk of earth. And so I'm gonna set them up right now. Drop that in, drop that inside the Smart Garden, and you're done for that plant. Now that that's done, you gotta set up your little domes. So just put them right on top, and that's gonna help keep the humidity in. Now they just look like little baby cocoon aliens that are about to sprout. Then you have to add your water. So add your water until this floater sits flush with the base. I'm gonna go do that later, and then you would plug this in right here, and you would let there be light. Now there are cheaper options out there to this Click and Grow system. That being said, the pod replacement are not that expensive. I think they're about 14 bucks for 3 plants, which if you go to a supermarket and buy a basil plant, it's much more expensive than the 3 plants that you would grow here. Now the system itself is a bit expensive, but it's a good investment because you can use this long term. Now there's different pods option available on the website. I picked up these because that's the one I wanted, but there's also flowers, not edible basically, and you also have baby tomatoes and whatnot. You have so many options. And you also have experimental. Experimental is essentially an empty pot of soil that you would add your seeds into, and it will allow you to grow anything you want, you know what I'm saying? But one thing I really do like about this system is the sleekness of it all. Here you have a little groove that allows you to slide the wire in, so when it sits anywhere, it just looks super duper clean. Not just that, the fact that it comes in multiple colors. I picked up the gray, it comes in white, and it comes in this beigeish color as well. They're just so dope. They're just so freaking dope. Now, who is this for? Well, if you're like me and you're lazy as hell and don't have time or don't care to water plants, and most of them died on your watch, this is a nice option because you can have fresh plants without necessarily feeling guilty of murdering them. Another option would be for somebody that loves plants, but that doesn't necessarily want to grow them specifically in each pot, you would be able to start them up here and then put them inside a separate pot, and then you would be able to nurture them and take care of them afterwards. So it would essentially be a startup kit for your plants. So if you grow a lot of plants and don't have time or don't want to manage them all, you grow them, you start here, and then you grow them separately when you remove them out of the pot. So very nice option for those people as well, and it looks damn cool. And another thing, you can grow these plants outdoors in the winter, and especially if you live in a cold environment like us up here in Canada, you will not appreciate having outdoors plants. So this is a cool way to have year-long supply of fresh herbs and spices and all that stuff. You have them all up in here. And there's also the option of people that want to put in their own plants and experiment with it. You know what I'm saying? You might not know what I'm saying. Anyway, that was it, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a big old thumbs up. Leave me a comment in the section below. And hey, I'll see you next time. Peace! I actually picked up...